Greek. La muerte. Madam Death. In Latin America, death is a person and she's always female. La muerte was having a terrible day. She had just spent the entire night in the hospital where 8 people had died. 8 people in one night, and not a single one of them had tasted good. People these days, they had no flavor, no essence, they didn't cling to life anymore, you know, they weren't juicy, they tasted of apathy and antidepressants. And what was worse, they often didn't even recognize her. They just gave themselves over to death without even a struggle, and they didn't even realize they were dead because it was basically the same as that boring life they'd been living. They were not feeling. Now, one old man had recognized her. As soon as she came in, he was supposed to die of cancer, but ended up dying of a heart attack. Now, at first, she was delighted. Finally, somebody who loves life. But once she devoured him, she understood why. The reason he had a heart attack when he saw her was that he was full of unfulfilled dreams. And you know what happens when unfulfilled dreams look death in the eyes? They turn into regrets. And eating regret is like eating boogers. But the worst had been the child. Normally, children were delicious. Oh, children were so sweet. They tasted of hide and seek and football and imagination. But this child just tasted like Minecraft. Ugh. This was a child who had never played outside. The kind of child when you ask him, what do you want to be when you grow up, would just be, And the only thing worse than dying full of unfulfilled dreams is dying without ever having lived at all. She was not feeling good without having dreamed at all. That was She could not wait to get home and rest and maybe poop out some souls. But she still had work to do. She pulled out her little agenda as she carries around a little black book. She's very organized, Death is. Maybe German. And found, thank goodness, only one soul left. Her book tells her who's supposed to die and where they are. And for the day, she only had one person, Francisca Cardoso, 85 years old. Oh, this one will be easy. At that age, they're always asleep in bed at this time of the morning. She could just go and take her while she was sleeping and nobody would be any the wiser, and she could go straight home and rest. Only problem was that Francisca Cardoso lived way out in the middle of nowhere, and she would have to take the bus. Death hates the bus. And what was worse is that the bus was full. Nobody gave her any seat, which was quite rude because, well, she is quite old after all. But what was worse is nobody even recognized her. If this had been 50 years ago, even 20 years ago, even children would have recognized her a mile away, and as soon as seeing her, they would and everybody would have been gone, hidden. That bus would have been empty by the time she set foot inside. But no, everybody was glued to their phones. She bumped into a guy, and the piece of that scythe, that knife that the death carries at the end of the stick, poked out from under her dark robes. All he said was, sorry. Well, feeling quite daring, she pulled her yellow bony hand out from her pocket and grabbed on to hold on to the bus. Nobody noticed a thing. People didn't respect her anymore. The only good thing was that Francisca Cardoso's village was at the very end of the line, so by the time she arrived, she was the last person on the bus and finally got a seat. And she had not been doing well on that bumpy ride. Doña, as she got out, Doña, the last bus is at 5 p.m. Don't miss it. I don't think there are any hotels here. I will not be long. Do you know where Francisca lives? Ah, Doña Francisca. Yeah, everybody knows her. So, you see that little house on that hill way over there? That's not it. But once you get there, you can ask for directions, and Francisca's house is on the hill behind that. Is there any transportation out there? I mean, I know a guy who has a donkey. Never mind. And so La Muerte set off through fields full of flowers. Disgusting. Flowers rotting on a grave? Lovely. But fresh in the field? Especially when her stomach was so bad. It took her an hour to get all the way to the house, ask directions, and finally get to Francisca Cardoso's house. And when she was there, knocked on the door, and this tiny, tiny little girl opened up with red cheeks and bright, sparkling eyes. Oh, she looked delicious. Child, Francisca, is she your grandmother? Yes. Where is she? I don't know. You don't know? Isn't she in her room? No. Well, where did she go? Out. Do you know where? I don't know. Can I wait for her here? Okay. But she might take a long time to come back. Sometimes she doesn't come back until night. I'll miss the 5 o'clock bus. Do you have any idea where she might be, child? Well, she might have gone to the Noriega house. Their baby was sick, and she's the one that has all the medicine. All right, where do the Noriegas live, child? Well, you see that hill way over there? That's not it. By the time La Muerte finally arrived to the Noriega's house, the sun was beating down. And under her black robes, even without skin, she was sweating on her bones. By the time she got to the Noriegas, buenas, Dogs always recognized her. She was made of bones, after all. Well, she climbed up into the mango tree. Auxilio! Auxilio! And the lady came out. Toby, Chito, bájese ahí. Tranquila, señora, que él no hace nada. Don't worry, lady. He's harmless. Parenthesis. If you're ever in Colombia and a dog comes out barking and the owner of the dog says, "Don't worry, the dog is harmless," it's a lie. No, I'm not coming down until you get that animal away from me. Just tell Francisca to come out. I need to talk to her, and then I'll be on my way. Oh, Francisca just left. What? Just left? She's 85 years old. What the fuck is a woman her age doing around? Where did she go? Well, she used up the last of the medicine with the baby. He had a bad tummy ache last night, so she went to the mountains to get some more herbs. Do you need some medicine as well? It looks like you could use it. Okay. That medicine would not help me. So where do these herbs grow? Well, you see that mountain? I got it. La Muerte wandered up and down the forested hills looking for Francisca. Nowhere. And by now she was pissed off. And finally, not caring who might be around, she just stood in the middle of the forest. Francisca! Get over here! Our appointment is today! Francisca's not here. Ay, where did you come from? She'd been so upset that she hadn't noticed a man with a donkey coming down the path. He was a typical paisa farmer with the hat, the poncho, and the machete. And he stayed staring at her very closely. "You're not from around here," he said. What do you want with Francisca? And La Muerte subconsciously hid the bony hand, tucked down the black robes over the side. He was starting to recognize her. Oh, Francisca, she said. We're good friends, Francisca and I. We go way back. Describe her. Francisca, she's 85 years old. What else? She has white hair. What else? Wrinkles. What are her eyes like? Ooh. And that was a problem, because you see, in Colombia we're all mixed. Most people have brown or black eyes, but there are also people with gray eyes, golden eyes, green eyes, blue eyes, all sorts of things. What could she... They're clouded with age, of course. Said the man. Oh, no problem. The Francisca I know is not the Francisca you're looking for. The Francisca I know, her eyes are bright and sparkle with a bit of magic. That Francisca, she's down at the little schoolhouse weeding the garden, but she's not the one you're looking for. Go on, lady. You're going to miss the 5 o'clock bus. The 5 o'clock bus. Well, she raced down. Thank goodness the little schoolhouse was right next to the bus stop. She could grab Francisca before anybody noticed, hop on the bus, and be out of there. She raced down as fast as she could, until she made it to the little schoolhouse and found all the flower gardens weeded, everything organized, and Francisca, nowhere. There's salida, Medellin. Lady, are you going to take the bus? We're about to leave. We're going. Are you coming or not? And she got on the bus, closed her book, and took off. And almost as soon as the bus rounded the corner, Francisca came out of the corner store carrying a sack of potatoes. By then, the man with the donkey had come down, and when he saw her carrying that big sack of potatoes, said, Francisca, aren't you ever going to die? Die, said Francisca. When life is so beautiful, die? Never.